one louder. Same botanicals, but it's not just stronger, it's ginnier. So we basically use the same weight botanicals to make less gin. So the flavour is more concentrated. And we had a tiny bit of sea salt to it as well. And that is, it's a gin for gin lovers. It's strong, it's ginny. And I just love it. And that little bit of sea salt just makes it very Moorish as well. We're going to have a martini with us later on, Dean. Now, a Navy strength martini is a very efficient drink, let me tell you. And then what we do is at the distillery, we have a range of distillery branded products as well. So we usually got 10 or 12 kind of products, which we kind of, I suppose, use that as a proving ground for these products. So we come up with what we think is a good idea, market it in the bar as a distillery product, and if they prove popular and successful, then they graduate into the Potterwell Road family of brands. And the first one to really do that was our celebrated butter gin. So, I'm a geek for not just the history of gin, the history of drinking, really, Dean, as we'll talk about in a bit. And sometimes it's not just about reading the old cocktail books for inspiration. It's more unusual sources. And there's a wonderful book by Charles Dickens called Sketches by Boz, which Dickens was one of the great kind of writers to chronicle that kind of mid 1800s era when gin was very much a problem for London, and, a social ill. And there's this wonderful passage where he walks into a gin palace, and it's very evocative. He describes the sights and the sounds and the characters, and he kind of runs through a list of the different gins that were available. And one of them was called the Celebrated Butter Gin. So we kind of took that idea as a jumping off point.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And back then, butter gin back then, it probably just meant, it's like when people talk about something being the cream of the crop or the creme de la creme. Butter just meant that it was, an excellent gin. It didn't, have butter in it, but we kind of took that as our inspiration and just as an experiment, put a batch of the regular Portobello back into one of our tiny little 30-litre stills with like 10 blocks of English butter and distilled it again. And
so way to ignore what I'm doing.
Yeah, so and it does two kind of things, because you get a little bit of that buttery flavour. Perhaps more importantly, it gives it a really great kind of weight in the mouth. Some of those oils from the butter dissolve into it, and it's got that viscosity, that thickness. But also, if you tasted the butter that was left in the bottom of the still afterwards, you let it reset and taste it, that butter tastes of gin. So what that tells us is that process, as well as adding flavour and texture, is removing some flavour.
That's actually interesting.
So it's actually kind of, in some ways, it's a bit
it's like
it's hard to describe,
like
because in terms of flavour, it's a bit lighter and more elegant. Perhaps it's not quite certainly not the intensity of the Navy strength, but it's got that weightiness in the palate. So it's a real kind of contradiction.
So have you seen what's the movie Perfume, where they use fat to capture high volatile
I've not seen
aromas?
It. No.
So I think what it was, the idea was that, like, for example, if you could put a certain type of petal, that might black orchid or something like that, right? Too delicate to put into alcohol, it'll shrivel and die.
Right. Put it into fat.
You put it into fat, and then the fat sucks the flavors out that you need, and then you put the fat in the alcohol,
distillation,
and you get the flavor. And this guy was killing people and using human fat.
Oh, that film, it was Johnny Depp.
That's the film, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, I can't remember. But it's how perfumers used to get the flavors into.
I didn't think about that, but
the aromas.
It makes sense really. And
there's so much we could talk.
So
about.
I just love this one. We're going to make a martini with that.
What are we going to make? What are we going to make?
We'll make a martini with that one. I think we're going to do a martini flight out. That's what we were planning. We'll try kind of all four of them in a martini. This one, because it's so loaded with kind of fats and oils, sometimes, depending, how much dilution you get and how cold your ice is, sometimes when you make a martini with it, you get that little kind of a louche almost. Which I don't mind. Technically, you might argue that that's a flaw, I suppose. I never put this one in the competitions, because if you put a gin in a competition and they add a bit of water to it and it goes cloudy, then they're going to say something's wrong with it. But for me, if you make a martini with a little louche on it, I don't mind at all. And the fact that that's happening shows us how much oils and fats there are present in the liquid, and they are going to help with the mouthfeel.
So. I've been using what I think is a nice technique to teach people at home how to do things, right?
Okay.
And that is, like, I get people over the phone to teach me how to make a cocktail, and that's what I was just about to prepare to do now, but it would be a great honor for me if you would make me a drink.
Of course.
Yeah.
Are we going to swap over?
I think what we do cocktails and then cut. Yeah, no, let's just swap. Let's swap. So
two men of our stature are not going to fit behind that.
We're not both going to fit. When I say swap, I was like about to cut to my Mitch's Minute segment for the week, so that
we can do that if you like. Whilst
we could waddle out of the bar, but because it is tighter than it looks in here. But your ice is here, right? I'll get you out. I'm assuming you're just going to go with dry vermouth all the way across the board, right?
Yeah, we'll make them all the same. We'll do them 4 to 1 with dry vermouth.
So we've got a fresh bottle of Old Noilly, like before they changed it.
Oh, you don't mind opening that? You don't want to keep it?
For you, Jake, I would open any of the bottles that are currently not in the bar, but in my special selection.
You're a good man.
Like, you can ask me to open any of these, I'll open them, even if they're not mine. Right, so here, there's this one. I will jump out. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jake Burger Show. Right, this is going to be so much
We're not doing Mitch's Minute, we're just going to swap, are we?
Yeah, we'll just swap. The reason I didn't want to swap straight away and I thought I'd do Mitch's Minute was because I was worried that we might pull a cable out or something.
Got you.
And it's actually terrifying, the thought of that.
Well,
but yeah.
I always think when you're making a martini. Sorry, go on. After you.
I might. You start, and I might swap the picture-in-picture so that the bigger picture is you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always think, when you're making a martini, the most important thing is to prep everything first, right? So, chill your glasses, which I'm going to use my fingers to do because I can't see any eyes. Oh, yeah, you got a scoop there, right in front of me. So we'll just put a small cube in there. Where am I getting water from, Dean? Is that possible?
Water's here.
Ah, cool.
There you go. Now, how do I do this? Let's see. Let's see if I'm learning enough on my little... There we go. Now, do we want to go all the way?
Am I live? Do you want me to hold on? So
sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a better switcher soon, which will allow me to do macros, which will mean that I can press one button and it will do all these things. But yeah, that's me editing on the fly. Woo!
I have no idea how big these glasses are, Dean, but let's just make one martini and split it between those two glasses.
I can see the delayed version on the live feed there.
What size is this jigger?
That jigger is 25, but if you see over there, there's a wall of jiggers.
Oh yeah, nice.
See there, and you've got a nice little selection. You can, if you're not sure of the sizes, I'd recommend the difference jigger there.
I'll tell you what.
It's actually quite good.
I always think when you're making drinks, measurements don't really matter. It's proportions, right? So we're going to do 4 to 1. So I presume that's twice as big on that side than it is on that side. So
I think that's a 30 ml.
So let's do one of those. And should we start with the classic London Dry?
Yep.
So
I can't sit still.
Two of those.
I'm so excited. And I don't know if YouTube is live. I don't care anymore. As long as is there someone watching? Can we see any? I can't see any comments.
After having said I was only going to make one and split it between the two glasses, I've just gone and made 2, Dean. So I'll be thirsty.
Oh, yeah, I'd make one and split them.
Spoon. Where am I looking for a spoon? On the wall?
Again, up. There's a rack of them.
Oh, yeah.
Up, yeah.
Go with the Ram's head one.
You chose the only one I'll probably never use. There's also like spoons in that little... Sorry, it's a bit of a hoggledy bar. I did a deep clean on Sunday, so it's a little bit all over the place.
And of course, so talking about making it, so 4 to 1, so 50 mils of gin to 12.5 of vermouth. Stir it with lots of ice, nice long stir. Glass is chilled. I can use a lemon twist. I think people sometimes cut the lemon twist too big. People cut massive ones. They cut massive ones, and then all you can test is the lemon. I think a lemon should just be a little accent in your martini. It shouldn't be, the dominant flavour.
I am so excited about this. And also, if you want like another big cube of ice.
Monkey shoulder, double springed.
Yeah, that's mine.
The Stu, I think is it Stu Hudson?
Hudson
Stu puts like I think he puts.
He puts like
four,
8
he puts
of
4
them
on.
on there now. It's redonkulous. It's so crazy. Like I designed my own Hawthorne strainer, and it's got like 2 layers where the springs go. So there's a second spring that overlaps on the inside, but it's on purpose.
Too many springs on that one. It's leaky.
Uh-oh.
So
I'm getting
just going to snap that
in
on.
trouble.
Who with?
All right, there are people watching. I've just seen there's some comments. It's on my personal. I don't know if the other ones worked.
Cheers.
All right, cilantro.
So,
cheers.
Martini the London Dry. Delicious, right? I always think with them. Yeah. I'd be interested in what you're a martini drinker, and one of the things in my new book, which we'll talk about in due course, there's a big martini chapter. In fact, the biggest chapter is about the martini because it's very hard to write a concise history of the martini because it's probably it's the drink which.
Well, you've gone into history on it.
Yeah, very much so. And it's funny watching the ratio of gin to vermouth swing over the years. It started out almost equal, and then by the time I started bartending back in the 1990s, it was a case of wave the vermouth over the bottle, over the glass. There was no vermouth.
Yeah.
Now I'm back up at about 4-1 now. I think the vermouth.
Well,
should be a part of it.
Is that an example of like gin getting better, but vermouth staying kind of like a dusty old thing on the shelf in cocktail bars, and then vermouth becoming more actual popular and we're going through more volume of it? I'm not going to say it's gotten better.
I think it probably, I mean, there's lots of great old brands which are always great, but there's lots of new ones as well, and revivals of old brands from the classic houses. And I think I'm not quite at the 50-50 stage yet. I'm not taking it back to that, but I think it deserves
It's funny because like, I'm trying to write specs for like a bartending competition, and I can't help but think a martini for me. If someone says, "Can I get a martini?" I'll be like, "Would you like a gin martini or a dry martini?" Because in my head, if someone says, "Can I get a dry martini?" I think like 6-1 or somewhere in there that region. But if they say martini, I think 3-1. Like that's my brain. That's just how I roll. But and your spec now on it's the same for dry and normal martini, or do I just need to?
Yeah, I mean, like any drink, if you speak to your customer, make it however the hell they want it. If they want no vermouth, fine, as long as they're paying.
What if they ask for a vodka martini?
Well, you see, I don't hate a vodka martini, contrary to people's expectations. Yeah. Something very efficient about that kind of steely, cold glass of ethanol, right?
Yeah. Well, isn't it a kangaroo? Am I losing or a silver bullet? What's
in the book, my martini chapter was too long.
Yeah. And someone cut it down.
It's still too long. But I had a whole bit about the vodka martini because I've done quite a bit of research into the vodka martini, which is weird for a gin guy, right?
Who's the editor that said, like, "I'm sorry, mate"? Was it Des?
My commissioning editor was like, she's like, "This chapter's too long. We need to cut this down." So I was like, "All right, let's just forget all about the vodka martini. I'll sum the vodka martini up in like one sentence rather than 10 paragraphs."
Is there going to be like a fatter edition called the burger edition?
the director's cut, the unedited version.
It was so funny when you said, like, when I was leading to earlier on, when I said, "So you do specific gin recipes for moments in time?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So are you going to get Steve Schneider to send some ingredients from New York so that you can make Schneider cut martinis for when the Schneider cut of
perfect? Let's do it.
DC, what was it like? A Justice League comes out. just a pun on names, right? So,
but you were talking about the vodka martini. You were saying the kangaroo, which people often cite. David Embry's got the kangaroo in, I think, in the 1951 edition of Fine Art Mixing Drinks, and a lot of people cite that as the first example of vodka martini. It's definitely not.
Okay.
And I had it back at about 1946. Originally called a Molotov cocktail, then called an Iron Curtain cocktail, and eventually a vodka martini.
Molotov Iron.
And I thought I'd nailed it. It's often the way when you're doing his research of drinks, you're like, "That's it. No one's found that. This is important. I've got it. I've got the earliest date for a martini." And then Jared Brown goes, "Oh no, I've got one from 1936." You're like, "Bastard."
Wow.
So
It's so crazy. Right. So I think we should do another martini. But what I might do is I might try to get you to cut to not Mitch's minute today. It's going to be Karen's minute because on earlier in the week it was International Women's Day, and I'm not going to lie, it was a great excuse to say to Mitch, "Hey, can we hear from Karen?" Karen's Mitch's wife, and she is awesome. So I've sent her a question this week, and she was very nice to send in a video. So, Jake.
Do you need me to press a button?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to go wrong.
See at the top, right? The way there's no on the
On
other,
this?
not that one.
On
No,
this one?
no, don't touch those one. So see the one that says Stream Deck.
Yep, this one.
Right, the third one in. It should
There's
have
a little
face
picture
on
of
it.
Karen.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Am I just pressing that?
Press that.
Enjoy the film, guys.
Good luck.
Something that was really common when I first started bartending that I'm glad is not anymore is calling every bar with fresh juice, a cocktail menu, and a bartender in a vest and a flat cap a speakeasy. The neon sign above your front door ensures that you are not. I mean, you know what they didn't have in speakeasies in the 1920s in the States was a bartender giving you all the reasons why you shouldn't drink vodka and why their reverse dry shake makes a superior whiskey sour. If you've got a Facebook page and an Instagram publicizing your happy hour specials, I assure you, you are not a speakeasy. And while we're at it, just let the people drink vodka. It's delicious. That's it. Mitch will be back with your regularly scheduled Mitch's Minute next time. Cheers.
Right, we're back.
Welcome back. So next one we do. Let's not. We were going to do all four, weren't we? And we probably will at some point today. But let's not just sit here and constantly make martinis because that will get boring for everybody. But what I will introduce you to is, as I was saying earlier on, some of our products start as distillery products and then join the Portobello family. Mm-hmm. This is the next one to join the Portobello family.
Okay.
So this is still in a distillery bottle, but this will be in your nearest high quality grocer soon, probably in about next month or so. And this is, we used to call it King Theodore of Kosokujin. Again, that was one of our ones again, which was inspired by a historic name. King Theodore of Korsika was this kind of laughable character. He led a very interesting life, and he wasn't from Korsika, but due to his military prowess, ended up briefly being the King of Korsika, King Theodore of Korsika. Then he defaulted on a debt to the British Crown, and ended up being stripped of his title, and ended up in a debtor's prison in Soho.
How did the British just take the King of Corsica and they're like, yeah, you owe us some money, so like, meh, we're putting you in jail?
I mean, crazy times, right?
Whoa.
And because he was a king who ended up in jail, he became a bit of a kind of a laughing figure, but also a bit of a folk hero amongst the London poor. And back then, people there were a million different names for gin, but one of the ones that stuck, back then was the Kent Road, but as we know, it's the old Kent Road now, although back then it was the new Kent Road. On that particular area, they would peddle a type of gin called King Theodore of Korsika gin. So again, we took that idea and used it as an inspiration and made a gin inspired by kind of Mediterranean botanicals. So this has got the same Portobello botanicals, but with rosemary, green olive. I always say rosemary wrong. I always do. If Dell's watching, he'll be texting me in a minute. I can't say it. Rosemary. It's the martinis, I swear. And green olive and bergamot. So it's this kind of Mediterranean style gin. So let's do a.
So you went with Mediterranean flavors, not ingredients that had been worthy of a king but fallen from grace, like tinned pineapple.
Well, I wondered how long it would take you to mention pineapples.
Yes, yeah, good call.
We'll talk about that in due course. But this product, we changed the name of it to join the Portobello family. So this will be our new Savory Gin. Comes in a beautiful bottle with a bit of a departure. We've gone with like a hand-drawn representation of the label. It's in a white bottle, and I just love this one.
That's a new one. So I didn't mean to be rude on my phone there, but I've put an alarm system into the cabin, and I snoozed it, and it was about to go off again. It was like, there is motion in the cabin. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Oh, speaking of alarms, did you set we were going to challenge ourselves to try and get this done in an hour? Did you set that alarm?
Well, the idea was that, and I think still is, that last week I may have had a few too many pints of Guinness, and the episode went for a full hour and 35 minutes.
That was with
Aaron Wall.
Aaron Wall.
And I had a great time. It was the first time I've been able to have someone in the cabin, and
it generally does turn into a long night when you're drinking with Aaron Wall, in my experience.
Yeah. But I thought, I need to start being concise with the show, and I want to keep it to an hour so people can watch it, and knowing that we've got a time limit, we're not just hanging out, chatting. We're keeping it real, getting through what we were going to talk about.
Did you finish your last one?
We created an agenda this time and everything. We have like a list of things to talk about. Dean and Jake catch up. Dean, say hello to Jake. Reading it back, it doesn't look like the most...
Getting drunk. I don't know if you ever attended, we of course did that our seminar in Tales of Cocktail on pineapples many years ago, which we'll talk about later. But none of you ever attended any of my Licopedia seminars, which again was,
Licopedia.
So it was kind of 90 things you never knew about alcohol in 90 minutes. Like,
when was that?
What would happen if you open a bottle of champagne in space, and can you stay sober by drinking milk? It's kind of
Would it just stay in there?
It's kind of like Mythbusters.
What happens if you open a bottle of champagne in space?
Well, Jeffrey Kruger, my fellow panelist, who
does it freeze?
Jeff wrote the book that Apollo 11 movie is based on. Jeff knows everything about space. He said the cork would just keep going forever.
Oh yeah, but I mean, what happens to the champagne?
It won't be fizzy because there's no gravity, so basically the CO2 will coalesce into a single bubble. You'd have fizzy drinks don't work in space. They don't.
Okay.
They for the most part wouldn't taste fizzy. The worst thing though is you can't burp in space.
You can't burp.
So if you could drink fizzy drinks in space, it would be a bad idea to do so because you can't. If you burp,
you can't get rid of the bubbles. But does it freeze and then stay in the bottle, or does the champagne go?
We didn't actually do it, Dean. I don't know.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, but every time we mention a different type of alcohol in that presentation, we drink it. So that is literally 3 old guys. I do it with Tristan Stevenson and Jeff. It's 3 guys sat on stage getting quite rapidly drunk, which this is starting to feel like the same type of thing.
Well, you've got 60 minutes of catch-up time, and what do you do? Right, so what's the next plan? So we swap back.
Should we swap back?
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
And then I think it would be really nice if we had a little chat about your book.
Yeah, of course.
I'll
go this way.
First. Yeah, rock and roll. Right. Now, Jake, I
left my martini behind. Would you be kind enough?
I have been waiting for a long time for you to write a book.
Well, it's always been something I've wanted to do. I really enjoy writing, and I am a geek when it comes to cocktail history. When I'm at home, I'm more likely to be, I'm not watching EastEnders. I'll be trawling some online library or newspaper archive for, ridiculous details about who and where was the first blue cocktail made and things like that, right? It's always been something that I've had a passion for and enthusiasm for. With the regrettable situation of the lockdown, I also found myself with, a bit more time on my hands than usual. And we've always had a very good relationship at the distillery with our friends at High Spirits. So I don't know if you know that coming in, but they look after all of Sazerac's brands, so the Buffalo Trace portfolio, but they've also got Fenwick Branca and Lazzari Amaretto. They've got a really great portfolio of brands which are very well suited to making classic cocktails. And I got together with those guys. They were looking to, do something interesting and, perhaps a bit innovative and unusual. I had time on my hands, so we agreed for them to basically publish my thoughts on 12 classic cocktails. So we've called it an anthology of 12 classic cocktails, and I picked 12 drinks which I think help tell the story of how the cocktail evolved over the kind of 200 or so years leading up to the present day. And I talk about, where they came from, how they evolved, where they are now, and each cocktail is accompanied by 2 recipes. One, kind of how it was when it first appeared, and 2, perhaps how I think is the way to serve it in the
Most
modern era.
traditional way,
Or the most relevant to the modern drinker.
Oh, so this is what it was when it very first. This is to current knowledge. This is the original recipe.
Yeah.
And this is one that you give to customers today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart because
And with a pretty detailed history on each one as well. So each chapter is about 2,000 words in terms of history, apart from the martini, which is about 12,000.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Yeah.
One, is the Manhattan in there?
Of course, the Manhattan is in there.
When you say of course, I would think, right, any book aimed at entry-level bartenders, like, it doesn't look like it's aimed at consumers. When they're telling you how to do this and how to do that, it kind of feels like it's for prep for bar, right? And they tell you about their bar and everything. They omit the Manhattan. Have you seen how many recent books have come out?
For me,
without a Manhattan recipe?
We didn't set this up, but the Manhattan is quite important in the kind of genesis of
people that watch the show know I love Manhattan.
Why this book was created, because the Manhattan I think is the greatest cocktail ever made, and nothing else will ever come close. And the kind of part of the process of the book being commissioned by House Spirits was that on the menu at the distillery, I make a Manhattan using almost exclusively their brands. And I love the Manhattan, and my favorite version of the Manhattan can be made from that portfolio. So Sazerac rye whiskey, which is sensational.
Awesome.
Carpano sweet vermouth.
Yep.
I don't know if you've tried the Lazzaroni cherry. So Lazzaroni make a vermouth, but they also do these. Make an amaretto, but they also do these amaretto infused cherries.
No.
And if you think the Luxardo ones are good, the Lazzaroni ones are fire.
The lecturers going to lose their minds.
So you've got 3 of the 4 ingredients in their portfolio for the perfect Manhattan, in my opinion.
Okay.
The only thing that's missing is my preferred bitters.
Yeah.
They own Peychaud and Bittermans and various other ones.
Okay.
But for me, I don't know if you remember, I worked with Bob Petrie from Bob's Bitters to recreate Abbott's, and I can't drink a Manhattan with any other bitters these days.
Okay, amazing. I now know. And what's your spec?
2 to 1, so 50, 25,
two
and
dashes of
3
bitters?
dashes, yeah.
3 dashes?
3 dashes, yeah.
Oh, you're crashing my whole world. Did you know the area code for Manhattan is 212?
I never thought of that.
So if you got your bitters bottle,
did you notice that? Did you notice that yourself? That is the.
No.
If ever there was a Dean Callan observation, that's got to be it.
No, it's I don't know where I got that. I got that online. I might have got it from a YouTuber. Yeah, I think I might have got it from How to Drink. Yeah. But it's just different people's perspectives on things. So like, if now I was like 2, I put 4. All right, I'm gonna make my hole in the top of my bitters bottle bigger, so I can be like 212.
I remember many years ago. I'll not name the brand, but you probably will all know what I'm talking about. One of the more successful bitters brands.
Yeah.
This is going back maybe 15 years or so. When I was in Leeds, they did a kind of a market research thing, paid us all 50 quid to turn up and hear our thoughts for half an hour, and they kind of had come up with kind of bitters flavoured soft drinks and ready to drink cocktails and stuff, which were not particularly nice. And we were like, we don't really like them. And they were like, well, how can we sell more of these bitters? And one guy goes, just make the hole bigger. Like, he's got a point. And I went, just charge £4 a bottle more for it. No one's going to notice, and no one's going to not buy it because it's more expensive.
Yeah, it's not expensive. Like, why not premiumize? Right, so I feel like I should be doing something. I can't see what the actual feed looks like.
About time you made me a drink, isn't it?
Yeah, can I make you a drink? And you...
We were talking about Manhattan, but actually one of the drinks which in this book, I kind of just sat down and started writing this book. I didn't kind of map out a grand plan.
Honestly, if you just dictated a book, I'd buy the.
But I ended up, through the course of writing it, there's a couple of themes I return to. One, that there are certain ingredients that just belong together.
Yeah.
You know, the Negroni was almost invented about 6 times before the Negroni was invented, right?
I see what you mean. Yeah, you know, I have a theory that like an Italian went to America and then was drinking like a Martinez and then went back to Italy and was like, I was drinking this great cocktail.
It's not
and
a huge
basically,
leap, right?
it's gin with sweet vermouth and bitters, and then
And you know,
and they were like, right, but didn't ask what proportion and just put equal. Boom.
if we think about also, you know, the most successful cocktail of the modern era, the espresso martini, caffeine, sugar, and ethanol are 3 things that belong together. They've gone together many times in the past. You know, some drinks are inevitable. So that's one of the themes of the book. The other theme of the book is that really, even the ones that you don't think initially to be versions of or inspired by the original cocktails, most of them really are. The original cocktail, which was, you know, spirit,
Of any kind, sugar,
spirit, bitters, and sugar, really.
Yeah.
And slowly we started making fancy cocktails by adding absinthe and liqueurs and
I'm dying because I don't know where you're going.
People started playing with the ratios, but the original cocktail was the father of it all, and lots of them still kind of survive. You know, the old fashioned is essentially just the whiskey, the original whiskey cocktail served on ice. You know, it's not a big jump, but some of them disappeared altogether. And the one that was the most popular cocktail in 1860s, 1870s America was the brandy cocktail. No one ever drinks the brandy cocktail anymore.
Okay.
And for that, we're just going to, you know, I'll leave you to pick a cognac. I see you've got that Ferron 10 Generations, which I absolutely adore. But maybe
we
that's
can
too
do that.
nice.
We can do that.
So maybe do like 60 mils of that, a tiny dash of sugar syrup, not too much. I always think, because cognac's got a sweetness to it already, so you probably use less
All right,
sugar in a brandy cocktail than you would in an old fashioned.
And I'm doing this live, which is just ugly. But I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna move it to the other side, which is just, I think it's kind of funny that I'm doing this live without macros. And then I might try to make you a bit bigger until about there. And nope. Oh, come on, there you go. There we go. All right. How do you feel about that, Jake?
Looks good to me, Dean. Talk amongst yourselves while Dean
messes around. Right, so we can see this, we can see that.
So let's chill a glass first, of course, as we always do when we're making a cocktail. The glass we're going to serve it in.
We're making Sazerac?
No.
What are we making?
We're going to make the original brandy cocktail, which, eventually turned into the Sazerac, but it wasn't.
I wasn't sure because you mentioned
Sazerac originally. So we will make a Sazerac after this. But
okay.
The original brandy cocktail was just, like the original cocktails were, the gin cocktail, the whiskey cocktail, and the brandy cocktail, and they were all the same thing. They were that spirit, stirred with ice. Well, if you got a stem glass, would be ideal.
Yeah.
We're not going to serve it on the rocks, so just something like that. Perfect.
Oh, you want it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the original
So
cocktails.
maybe we'll make one and split it into 2 of these.
Perfect. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So it's the spirit, be that whiskey, brandy or gin, but in 1860s America, for most drinkers, it was brandy. We're going to sweeten it with a tiny bit of sugar syrup, not too much, probably like 7.5 mils so 60 mils cognac, 7.5 of sugar syrup.
Well, the sugar syrup I keep shelf-stable sugar syrup, so it's going to be funk, and it's about 60 bricks, so it's 2 to 1.
2 to 1, perfect. That's the same ratio I use for mine. I think it's better that way. And then probably two dashes of bitters, Dean. You can choose
2 big dashes.
Choose whichever one you like, but let's try and pick one that would have been around.
So you're going to tell Bob's to make the hole bigger?
But he has the pipette. I don't know how we would do that.
Oh, I see.
Just with the bladder bigger.
So it's still 2 drops, right? It's still 2 dashes. It will just fill it all the way
So
up.
probably just go with Angostura, I guess, or if you've got any Bob's Abbots, or if you've got any.
I've got a few Bob's
any of the
here.
Any of the Bocca's recreations that
I think I always kill the Abbots.
Just go with Angostura. I'll be fine.
I should have known better. I should know better than this. Wait, what's that one? Oh, orange and mandarin.
A fine product. But let's go with something
Okay.
aromatic, so I can still be fine.
And how many? 2.
2 dashes of that. And then give that a little stir.
And how much is this?
60 of the
60?
cognac. So, you know, it's about as simple as the drink gets, right? You're just basically taking the spirit, making it a little bit sweeter, making it a little bit colder, and adding that little dash of aromatic bitters.
This is going to be tasty. Oh, we're going to put a twist
And no one
or
ever...
anything?
Yeah, lemon twist.
Lemon twist, great.
And no one... I mean, I've been bartending for 25 years, whatever it's been. And I don't think until about 6 months ago I'd ever made a brandy cocktail.
Really?
I'd read about it thousands of times, but it's just one of those ones that died. No one drinks it.
I had this like...
And we don't, and you know, not just the brandy cocktail. We don't often really think about cognac being a mixing spirit these days, do we? There's not
No,
that.
but...
Some people enjoy sidecar. I personally think sidecar suck. That's why they're not in this book. But yeah, there's not a great many. Certainly not modern classic brandy cocktails, and even from the kind of catalogue of all brandy cocktails, most of them disappeared. And this, I just think, is well worth.
Do we think it looks about
That's
dilute?
looking about right to me. I think this drink is overdue a revival.
Well, I would say that I'd agree with you on the sidecar, except for I went to a bar in Osaka, and the guy behind the bar was called Mr. Hirematsu, and I went in there with you know Xavier Padovani, obviously.
Of course.
And we had 5 different bars we were supposed to go to that night. And myself and Xavier Padovani go in there, and we're with a guy called Mr. Tori. His name was Mr. Tori because his surname was Suntory. Same Suntory.
Right, yeah.
Right, and it's they
I
own.
hope he was picking up the check.
They own the distribution company Sanyo Busen, which is like a big distribution company. Like I think they might be the second biggest in Japan, after Suntory. And we were meant to go in there, have one drink, and leave. And I went in there, and this bartender's really polite behind the bar, and it's all translated. But I said, you know, I was told in Japan, every bartender, it's more of a Ginza thing, I think, not Osaka. Every bartender has one cocktail that they consider their thing. You know, Ueno-san is the white lady.
Yeah.
So I said, what's your cocktail? You know, and he's like, all the cocktails. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. What's your cocktail, though? And he's like, I make all the cocktails. I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's not being translated properly. So I'm like, I was like, do you like classics? Yeah. And I'm like, kind of like, I seen what I thought was a sidecar go out before, so I ordered a sidecar. And I'm like, if this guy can make a good sidecar, it was so good that there wasn't a double take, there was a triple take. And then I proceeded to order another one. And at this point, Xavier's like, hey, Dean, we got to go, man. Like, and I was like, I'm not leaving.
That is how he talks as well.
And that was it.
Yes.
I had Old Fashions, I had Tom Collins's, I had Sazerac's, I had...
That's fucking delicious.
Oh, that's good. That's
So
really
nice,
good.
right?
I think the cognac bit helps a little bit. It was really good cognac.
Well, while we're doing the cognac, before we get too sidetracked by your adventures in Japan.
Oh yeah.
So this drink, basically, this was, if you went to New Orleans in 1860, people were drinking brandy cocktails, cognac cocktails. Yeah. And Sazerac House would have been one of the more luxurious places to go and enjoy it. Which was, it's not there in its original building anymore, but it's, you know, on Royal Street, just on, you know.
Yeah, we've been to. We've both been to New Orleans a few times.
We would have stumbled past that spot many times, Dean, many times, and that was and they would have been drinking. It was called the Sazerac House because the guy who opened it was the U.S. distributor for a brand of cognac called Sazerac de Forges-Fil, and undoubtedly, of course, he would have been using his own cognac in that place. So people that were in the Sazerac House were drinking brandy cocktails with Sazerac cognac, and that was the drink of New Orleans in the 1860s, without a doubt. Maybe
so it would make sense, like the improved or fancy with an
So then, when we get to the two things happen, right? When we get to the end of the 1860s into the 1870s, people started making fancy cocktails. People started adding absinthe,
yeah,
liqueurs.
Curacao,
eventually, when we get to the 1880s,
champagne.
people started adding vermouth as well. So the absinthe would have found its way in round about then. And because we were in New Orleans, the bitters we're using, without a doubt, would have been Peychaud.
Yeah.
who had a his pharmacy where he made them and sold them
Yeah.
was like 4 doors down the street from the Sazerac house, right?
We tried to buy a sword from there.
We know what you're right. So we know all that for sure. People were definitely drinking that drink there. But evidence suggests they probably weren't calling it a Sazerac.
Yeah.
They might have been asking for a brandy cocktail with the Sazerac cognac, or might be asking for the Sazerac House's brandy cocktail, but they probably weren't just calling it the Sazerac. We don't really see that name pop up with any kind of fame as a drinks order until the late 1800s, about 1898, 1899. By which point, of course, phylloxera had hit, and cognac disappeared in America, and the brandy cocktail went down in popularity, and right about the same time as this, vermouth arrived, and the Manhattan took over, and the Sazerac cocktail.
It's all making sense of the actual timeline of the moment, because if you understand what was happening at the moment, you have a better understanding of what.
Yeah, and if you read the book, you'll see none of the classic drinks were really created in isolation. They were all an evolution. Be that something new arrived, or something old disappeared, or like we still do today, Dean, as bartenders. When the new bottle arrives, something new's invented. You don't just think of a whole new way to serve it. You think of an old drink and you'll sub it in, add it to it, or take something out and put that in.
Adjust.
And throughout the book, you can see every drink really, all the
big classics
were just the evolutionary process.
So are we going to make a Sazerac? So
our very rare treat, thanks to our dear friends at High Spirits, and this is there's not very many bottles of this at all. It's almost impossible to find. When we reopen the bar, we'll have a bottle at the distillery. If people do want to come and taste this product,
can I have a tiny taste of this?
Of course, yeah.
Is that all right? Just in case
I will as well.
Decimate.
And then we'll make Sazerac with it.
I would like to have an actual thing.
So this is going to get really confusing for bartenders as well, because of course the same company on Sazerac rye whiskey. So from now on, people are like, can I have a? You ask your bartender for a Sazerac, you're going to have to clarify whether you want a Sazerac cocktail, a Sazerac rye whiskey, or a Sazerac cognac. It's going to get really confusing. But this is such an interesting product, and what they've basically done is they've tried to recreate as best they can cognac as it tasted in that era. So, of course, when phylloxera hit, that wiped out the old grape varietal, Fort Blanche, which most cognac was made with Fort Blanche, or Picpoul, as most people call it.
Did they have some of that in the New World, though?
Did they have some? They may well have done, but one was that vine was decimated, and when they created the new vines which were resistant to phylloxera, they put them onto Uni Blanc.
Okay, hence the Uni Blanc.
Yeah, which is now the predominant grape variety for all cognac production. Now there's actually six grapes that are permitted. Most of the old ones are still permitted, but they exist in such tiny proportions you can't buy them. So most cognac is made from
Uni Blanc's the big one, right?
These guys basically went around cognac buying up all the Folie Blanc. So this is it's made in tiny quantities with it's not just one grape. It's got
all the other cognacs in about 5 to 10 years, they're going to taste different, because people have stopped even bothering putting the.
But most of them didn't. There's hardly any of it available, and that's why it's such a rarity and such a treat, because there's not very much of it. I don't know how many bottles we've made it to the UK, but I know it's not very many.
Are we going to make a cocktail with it?
But yeah, I figured, because I'm here in the cabin for the first time, and we've been talking about classic cocktails.
I'm glad we had a couple of pints of Guinness and a few martinis.
And because, our dear friends at High Spirits, Liam Sparks dropped this round on my doorstep last night, God bless him. So it seems like the ideal opportunity to make the Sazerac with Sazerac de Forges cognac. So we'll make it.
Jake, I'm going to have to lean. Do you want to jump behind?
Shall I come and do it? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you need crushed ice? Do you need because I remember all the different many arguments of crushed ice with absinthe discard. Does the lemon go in? Does the lemon get discarded?
I'll show you the way I'm going to make it. Yeah.
I remember they found an old guy that said discarded, right? But
can I get into this cabinet?
Yeah, that's the.
I'm going to use this glass here because that looks perfect for it.
I'll do it. You go in. I'll get you the glass.
Okay. Yeah, that little one with the kind of flared lip would be great, Dean.
Oh, this tiny one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's loads of those. They were hand blown for me for the show.
Oh, is that it there?
Yeah. So a guy actually from Germany made those specifically for me and sent them to me because he liked the show.
They're beautiful.
How cool are they?
Really good.
And look, they're all one piece, and they're so different because he's like an amateur glass blower.
That is a lovely glass.
Yeah, it's cool, huh? If you'd like, you can take one home as a gift.
If
well, two, so you can be social.
One will be.
Mate,
ample for me.
two of
That's
them could have easily
very
broken on any night in this cabin. I tend to try to flare and like relive my early days every now and then and smash 6 glasses.
Now, in the book, I don't just talk about the history of these drinks. As I said, I do offer 2 recipes: the old recipe and the new recipe, and I've got a paragraph on each one on like I call it notes on mixing. It's basically my opinions on how these drinks should be prepared. And I think that whole thing about 2 rocks glass, it doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. I don't know where it came from. I hate it. I don't do it that way. So, but there is definitely an advantage to adding your absinthe to your chilling glass, because absinthe, of course, is such a powerful flavour. This is really the best way to make sure you don't use too much of it. Where am I looking for absinthe, Dean?
Oh, it's in the speed rail. I use a lot of absinthe.
So I'm going to use hardly any. These are straws here, right?
No, there's metal straws there. Whoa!
Metal straws.
In the box there, yeah. There's also a very tiny.
Yeah, that's not going to work. I'll tell you what I'll do.
Try the Venencia. See that steel thing?
I've got a plan. We'll just decant it back in afterwards.
There you go. All right.
So I'm just going to put, no more than 3 or 4 drops in there.
Okay.
We'll leave that glass chilling, and then like I said, mix. Chilling one glass, mix another glass. I don't get it at all. I like my Sazeracs up and mixed in a mixing glass.
Up as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting because I was always taught to make it in a rocks glass, like
serve it in a rocks glass,
ditch it, serve it in a rocks glass down. But the problem you face is that people see that you've got this much left in your glass. You can see that it's cold on the side, so it's not like a neat whiskey, and they think it's just dregs.
So
and you lose your Sazerac.
And I'm not going to pretend this is the definitive way to do it. I'm just making it the way, because we're not very often going to get a chance to make a Sazerac with this product. So I'm going to make it the way I enjoy it.
So are you making 1 or 2?
I'm going to make 1 and... I've probably got enough to make 2.
I think make 1, and we'll give me a little small one. This one here, look, this glass is like half size.
Perfect. No, let me chill that one down for you as well then.
So Jake, you mentioned that you had a second book, because how many did you do? 100?
No, we've only printed, so it's not available to purchase. It was commissioned by House Spirits, and they've been wonderful. I cannot praise them more highly enough in how understanding they've been about the book, because my worry was I didn't want to just write a pamphlet for their brands, right?
Yeah.
And it's completely not that. They give me complete kind of freedom on the content and the editorial. There are a couple of little references to their brands in there, but there's references to other brands. I even crept in a reference to Portobello, of course. So it's not a brand pamphlet. It is a history of drinks.
But it becomes
and actually,
a gift.
and in some ways, actually harks back. Even with the look of the cover, I love the old books. I've got a huge collection of old books.
It feels like a vintage book.
If you read those books from the 1870s, 1880s, they all had adverts for brands in the back of them, right?
Yeah, 100%.
They were all sponsored books, essentially.
Yeah,
It's the old way of doing it.
There's no harm in it. And you've got a section for
I lost track of the point I was trying to make there. But yeah, in terms of...
Oh, no, was it available for sale?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So there's 500 of them.
Okay.
I've got some to give away.
Oh, so... Okay.
That one's for you there, Dean. We would love to give one away to your viewers. I'll leave it to you to explain to them how they could do that. Did we talk about maybe?
I think it's going to be difficult because I couldn't.
Is there a bit more ice, Dean? Is there another one?
Yeah,
there?
there's a whole. So that's big ice. So if you put that back in,
Next
So
one.
those
down.
ones are cubes.
Ah, perfect.
And there's
Check one.
oh, well, that's a Star Wars cube.
Oh, shit. That one all right?
That one's also a Star Wars cube.
This one?
That one's good, yeah.
Star Wars. Tell everybody about your Star Wars cubes.
So there were cubes in there that had some of the Lego Star Wars characters from the Battle of Hoth fused into them. That was supposed to be used for like a drink I wanted to make. But now that I think little, yeah, they're dead now. Little Hoth guys. Oh no, wait. One of them still survived. He's still stuck there.
Where did you put the sugar syrup when you were done with it?
On.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So this is a Star Wars cube. See? Look, that's Luke Skywalker in his Hoth outfit. He hasn't yet been saved by Han Solo.
So I've gone 60 mils cognac. I've actually thought that last one we made. You see how far the sugar goes, right? It was quite sweet.
Yeah.
So I've used a little bit less there. And of course, we're going to use Peychaud bitters. So I've gone 60. I've gone about 5. I've got 3 dashes of Peychauds. We've got the glasses chilling with absinthe and water. We'll give this a stir. And yeah, so back to the book. 500 only. First 100s are numbered and signed. You've got one of the numbers. I forget which number you've got.
You. It's number 1.
Is it? It's not number 1, is it?
Am I not meant to get
Maybe I've
one?
not written the number in yet. You can. I'll make it number 3 if you like. We're going to give number 2 to you.
My favourite number's 8. If you want to do 8.
Well, one of my very special friends is
also loves 8.
Number 8 is currently winging its way to Thomas Estes in the US.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
No offence, but I think he deserves it.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
But we're going to give away number 2 to your viewers.
Whoa!
Because tonight is the big unveiling. This is the first time anyone's seen the book outside of the project.
This is so cool.
And we do hope perhaps at some point in the future that we may print some more. And we're talking perhaps about, this is quite a geeky book, and it's definitely designed at it's aimed at the bar professional, not the casual civilian drinker. So we might do a little rewrite.
Casual civilian drinkers getting more and more professional all the time.
They are, but we might do a little rewrite and make it a bit more consumer friendly, and look at publishing it for the general public as well. But for now, it's in very limited numbers.
You should have a little, like a post-it notepad.
It's got
the Dummy's Guide to an Anthology of 12 Classics, and it just has bits that explain pages, and you just stick in there post-it notes.
So there we go.
Sorry.
A Sazerac with Sazerac Laforge.
Sláinte.
And
amazing. Right, so guys, sorry I left it all the way to the end, but I mean, if you've just tuned in now, you're winning, or you've got a chance to win. If you do want your chance to win one of the books, one of 500 books in total, but I mean, it's number 2 book, please comment book me. Give me a book, right? So mention book in the comments, and we're going to count up the people. We're going to count up the people that entered throughout. I think it might be unfair.
I'm gonna pick the winner if you put book me, and then if you can write something offensive about Dean.
Yeah, go for it. Also, I'd like some commentary on my interview style, because it's just occurred to me that I've never actually looked up how people interview. Everyone's like, Oprah's the best interviewer ever, and I'm kind of like, man, I should watch her interviews to learn some techniques, and I'm like, nah.
I think the best interview is just let people talk, I think. What do you think of the drink?
Sunshine. Oh, it's delicious. Obviously, it was going to be delicious.
So yeah, a rare treat.
Wow, that's epic.
We were aiming at doing an hour. We've already gone 13 minutes over.
So guys,
but I'm having fun. But it's up to you. You want to stick to your numbers, you can.
I would go all night long. This is the thing. This, like, as Electra knows, I will just keep going. And that came out wrong.
No comment. No comment.
That was meant to be a reference to the fact that Electra keeps working all night and she's got to get Axel back. So I'm a dad now. Funny is that? Can I jump behind and
Yes.
we'll close it out?
Of course.
Is that all right? So, like, I'd like to get your thoughts on something and a taste. I want to taste something I've not tasted before. No, just jump out. Just jump out. Okay.
I thought we were going to try and squeeze in together.
Oh, let's do that. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah, epic.
I'll breathe in.
All right, we
I'll
can do
breathe
it.
in.
We can do it. No, it's easy. It's easy. I was trying. Right. So we need to swap sides. So you go that way. Right. This. I have to guess that you have a bottle of this.
No.
But do you know what that is? So this is a plum liqueur by Bacardi. Like, it's an old school Bacardi elixir.
I love the branding. This is
epic, right?
Is this available, or is this just something they did as a giveaway?
It's a one-off gift. You can't get it.
Let's try it.
Right, so should we try it? Because I was like, I got it in December. They only gave it out in December. So for the people that can't see that, there we go. Look at that. That's a nice little trio of delights.
Isn't it?
And why is it so much darker? Oh, I set the colours before I realised before I did the live thing. Right, so that's the bottle. And it's Bacardi's Plum Elixir, which like dates back to yonder days.
So this is a recreation of an old product.
It's a recreation of an old product that they discontinued. And yeah, it's not for sale, not for anything else. It's just a sample given out as a gift.
You get sent all the good stuff, Dean.
Well,
I can complain.
I think I happened to be in the right place at the right time with this one, and I think I might not have thought this out because I'm not sure.
Have you got a corkscrew?
If I've got a corkscrew out here, yes, I do.
Go.
Thank God. I was about to. Stuart Hudson would have killed me. But that reminds me, I'm doing a show about wine tomorrow.
I remember years ago when we used to do the Bartenders versus Sommeliers competition for the theme.
Yeah.
And I was in the bartender group the first year we did it, and Hudson was our sommelier trainer.
Yeah.
Now, by that point, I'd already been bartending for probably 20 years. I'd opened several thousand bottles of wine without snapping the cork.
Oh, no.
And then when it came to the competition, I'm at the table. Sure enough, I snapped the fucking cork in half.
That's not your fault. That's the cork's fault. Cork's only job is to be resilient.
We still won.
And open.
We kind of cheated.
Did the sommeliers ever win that competition?
We had Mike Sager as a barman, who's probably one of the most qualified sommeliers in the world.
It's got a deep and rich sort of note to it.
Oh, it's delicious, I don't find it particularly plummy, but it's delicious.
I'm not getting plum, but then I think people
Plum's
don't.
one of those funny flavours, right?
People don't immediately recognise plum.
And lots of things, certain fruits, and plum being one of them. The only thing that really tastes like a plum is a plum, right? Make a plum flavoured thing, it doesn't taste the same.
That's good.
It's delicious.
Anyway, to close the show out, comment please. Give me some criticism on my capacity to interview people, and give me a little bit of time, and I'll announce who's won. Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Rock and roll. We're going to put all the names in a hat. Thank you.
Drink London Dry Gin.
Yeah, Portobello Road, London Dry Gin. I always want to do it. I've always wanted to do ads where it's like, and now a word from our sponsors. And cut to really cheesy Super Bowl style ads. Now, how do I stop this thing now? Where's the outro? Boom.